even though I was present, I would say, to what my promises were this week, um, and I was excited to take more on, right, with the intention that I'm going to fulfill on all of them, and I did on, some of them just to consist like. So basically, long story short, I think I'm making too big of a promises to myself.
Okay. So we'll go through them. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at those and see how they can be honored in a way that honors you. So what's happening is you're having the experience that you're so focused on doing your best to honor your promises that now you're discovering it's those promises really maybe it's not honoring you to keep them, but you still have to honor them. So how do I find a different way to honor it? Well, first of all, it's called enrollment, right? You sell me, as to what, why it is you want to change the promise. And so that I'm sold on that whatever the promise was intended to achieve, that gets achieved even better if I allow you to break your word and restructure the fulfillment of the promise in a different way.
Well, with doing the one apology a day, I didn't fulfill on that every single day, right?
Yeah.
And and we talked about it this morning. I think what would really be more effective is I just do invitations to come on 11/11,
I agree. Since
filling the
that was something we talked
pipeline.
about prior to this session, I didn't officially make the request. So, yeah, I would say that if you promise to do 11 invitations, and no, the invitation could end up being one of those people on that list. So
Yeah,
if you do 11 invitations a day by a specific time, right? So that, and so those ones, they're honored, then I would say that the result you will produce that's important to you would be much greater than than the time and whatever in those apologies,
yeah,
right? Because right now there's an urgency for you to make money, and anything that is a distraction from the one thing that will make the difference. And so, yeah, I might as well just talk about it. It was like this morning it came up during our jog, so that was part of the session in a way, right? Like it was
mhm.
like I made that request of you. And what do you want to say about that request, and why it was like an instant yes, and why you saw that that was the key to just only focus on this one thing, and then you're going to have no problems with paying the rent in the next few weeks?
Well, it's filling the pipeline. Now that we know 11/11 is a gateway to the funnel, right? Even though it's not a business, 11/11, but it's now become our funnel. We've identified it. So we want to put leads into our funnel through 11/11, and the money takes care of itself. It's always happened that way with us in the past, right? With really just being in momentum every single day, whether it's having a turnaround, having 11/11, and us being happy and in the zone, and all of a sudden we're inspired to work on the agreements or to work on this and get that done when there's a person in front of us. And that's been the case for me. Like I need to have that context, that inspiration, and having again the daily connection just in a different energy space, is part of filling the pipeline for us. And once a pipeline, for me, once a pipeline is filled, there's so much of momentum, abundance, where there is no worry about money.
Right. So that totally honors you. It's just a much better way to get to the result.
Yeah, yeah. And I know we talked about this before. When worry comes in or scarcity, it's only my spirit saying there's not enough in the pipeline. You could go be doing all these other things, but it's like, and if you're inspired, fine, but with the intention, like what I tell my clients, with the intention that at some point that day, you will feel good enough. You don't have to be, like you said, in the zone at peak state, but at some point you will feel good enough to send an invitation or, honor that commitment. However, you choose to honor it with integrity and from an, if not inspired context, empowering context. Just, and it doesn't have to be hard. I think for me, I think I make it complicated sometimes in my mind where it's like I feel like I gotta really feel it for sending out a message because I don't know, I guess it's just how I've been. Like I feel each message has to be customized and that's gonna take a long time. And then after like 5, I get tired because maybe I'm just customizing too much. I don't know.
Well, all that we do know is about as we relate what you said to integrity, when you do more than 5 or have the pressure of doing 5, you don't enjoy the process as much because for you, doing it as it was meant to be done or better is different than what that means to me and other people. So for you, these are very special. These are very, each
Mm.
relationship is precious and it's you're all about connection. So maybe it is out of integrity to be doing these messages any other way than how you want to do them. So why don't you tell me how you want to do each message, and then let's let this whole session here be about this and everything to do with putting the 1111 brand process, automation, sequencing, message, logistics, all of it. We have a plan for it getting in integrity, and we at least know what whole and complete is because that's the result we accomplished in today's session. And we'll start with the invitations, right? So there's no point in doing these invitations if, 11 of them or whatever, if you're present to a problem. So let's talk about this problem further and see what we can do to make it so that you could do 11.
I agree. 11 is the magic number. And I just got to do it to really know what works and what doesn't work. So maybe I don't need to customize too much. Maybe I'm just complicating in my head. And some message will be like copy and paste, maybe just changing a sentence or two. But as long as it's like, coming from the heart. Like, I don't know.
So this is beautiful. So here's what happens in terms of getting the result. When you do it the way Samu does it with all that real love and attention and time where you prepare for an hour on each person and you do a video, it's like when you do it that way, you get about a 90% response versus if you don't do it that way, you might get 40% for all we know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is important. This is beautiful. This is how we dig deep and seeing what integrity really means in this scenario. So it's about getting the result. One way to get the result is put lots of time and heart in that, video message and prepare. So, but it doesn't honor you if there is another way to get the result of 90% without you having to do that. So here's my suggestion. The only thing I know is what we were actually talking about yesterday. If we can have it so soon as they register, they put in their email or whatever this process is, scheduling, that used to work before. Select a tentative date on my calendar because this is when I do the 11/11 episodes, whether it's in the studio in person or no, this is when I do the episodes on StreamYard, right? Yeah. And I want to just let you know that you'll notice that the calendar is scheduled for 10:30 a.m. It's actually scheduled 40 minutes prior to when we're to go actually live on your timeline with a program called StreamYard. You can Google it if you like, or there's a link here. So, and let me share with you what to expect in that 30 minutes just before we're live and what that looks like. And so here's what it is. First of all, the great news is when you jump on at 10:30, at 10:30, you're actually going to be Scott will be with us. Scott will actually be doing the production on this software, this streaming platform called StreamYard. So it's so, and just say, I'm so excited because I thought if I was going to do 11 episodes virtually, I wouldn't have the magic of, you know, how we did this for those 500 guests that came in the studio. And that was always, you know, Scott would come in and just explain the format and make sure the format was totally going to be honored, and then just share what topics we both are not allowed to talk about, and it's like a game. And then I'm going to tell you what I can't talk about, just in case I accidentally break the rules. You got to call me on it, and I'll do the same for you. It's really fun, and Scott's a lot of fun. So we'll be, if you can imagine, we'll actually be queued up and ready to go and do this as a pre-recorded Facebook Live on your timeline, right? And why do we always do it on the guest timeline? It's simple, because nobody cares about like tuning in on a conversation like this that we're going to have. Like, you get no value at all in terms of this, the streaming aspect of it, if it's going on my timeline or my business page to promote my page. This is not about business. This is not about viewers or engagement. We never cared if there were the person had 3 Facebook friends or 3,000. In fact, we had, you know, some guests actually asked to do it on their business page because the business page had thousands and thousands. And we actually said no every time, because this is not about promotion. It dishonors the purity and you know, of non-promotion. It's not about promoting us. It's not about promoting you, but it is about connection and conversation. And the conversation we're going to have is an opportunity for you, you know, to share this with, you know, your Facebook friends. And we find, by the way, that the type of people that tend to be most attracted to coming on 11/11, when we looked at the patterns, because all we did was said, this is what it is. We never tried to even sell it. What we found is people who were very, very comfortable doing Facebook Lives, did lots of them, are really great on camera or whatever. A lot of those people didn't really like our platform. Like, a lot of those people didn't come onto our platform, right? I think we even found that people that were speakers or professional speakers actually were terrified, scared of this platform, because they couldn't have control and they're so used to having to like plan their message. And the interesting thing, we did have some people come on it anyway, but we found the majority of people were people who maybe were shy, scared, and this was an opportunity, the easiest way they could possibly just step in and do something on video. Maybe they were camera shy. Maybe they had low self-esteem like you had, Sameena, when you used to think you were ugly and, you know, everybody was judging you. You know, those are the type of people, it seemed, they were spiritual people, right? They really resonated with the number 1111 and spirituality. And they, you know, they found it uncomfortable doing Facebook video. So what we don't want to do is have it just all go on our page and our time or your timeline, right? Just so they don't have to deal with, you know, sharing with their friends this conversation. That would have no integrity. That would dishonor the spirit of 1111 as well.
What would? So I didn't get that part. It was sharing with their friends?
Yeah. Like if in other words, that's what it's for. And if they say, no, you know what, I'd be more comfortable if it's done in your timeline or 1111 page, we're going to go back to what we always said. No, it's not about that. The only reason you would want us to put it on our page is because you think this is a show. So we keep getting back to the pure integrity of this format. If you're not willing to put it on your own timeline and you prefer it to go on ours, that's because you are coming into this thing thinking you're putting on a show, and you don't want that show to go on your timeline. You preferred it to go on ours. So therefore, you're not a fit for this platform.
Right.
Right. It's beautiful. I'm getting back to because this is what happens on our call, right? They come on at 10:30 a.m. or p.m., whenever it is. And I'm the one that's explaining the format. I always, you know, would be doing that. And then eventually I didn't need to, but I was still always the guy switching the cameras in the background. So I was always live with you, right? So that hasn't changed. That's what I love about StreamYard. It totally honors the what we created and what it is. It totally does. Only thing that changes now is that people now have the opportunity to come on and connect all over the world. And the other thing we used to say is that, you know what, we don't care if the person is employed, they got a job, or they would ever be a client of yours or mine, because we said this is not a funnel and we're not soliciting anyway. It wasn't about that. It was about that thing that brings you joy and brings you back to life, connection with another human being. And you have to do that daily anyway to honor your sacred commitment. What we're realizing now is the wisdom of, well, why don't we be just more proactive and be accomplishing your daily Facebook Live with another human being rather than on your timeline, just because that's easy.
Yeah.
We're just sharing. That's it. It doesn't matter to you whether someone jumps on or they don't jump on, or you have a guest or you don't guest anymore, because you've now become so comfortable with the camera and doing it. And people now tune in pretty well all the time now, right? So you're actually doing this out of joy, and it's going to be fun. And I get to be there just before we go live, and I'll be doing the things, I'll be saying, getting them ready. And I'll ask them questions about their passions, about the passion projects they're working on, things they care about most, right? Just before we go live, to really understand the stuff that would be out of integrity if the conversation went in different areas that would trigger all that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very difficult when you accidentally throw a question on them, Sameena, not knowing what their passions are, because it's kind of hard to do anything with it.
Yeah.
Right. So,
No,
and that's beautiful. And we get to, for 30 minutes, we get to connect with each other. And the other thing is, why is it that we design this so that people would meet you for the first time on the Facebook Live, right? All the people that came on, we want to honor the spirit of that too in this new evolution. Those people, what happened was the invitations or whatever, it was unexpected how much people like this really appealed to people. We had no idea, right? We had no idea. So as a result, I remember you were crying, and I said, "What's wrong, Sameena?" It was like, there's too many people. I have to talk to too many people, and I have to tell my story, and it's triggering me. And I'm like, so you're saying, Sameena, if I could just automate this thing so that people don't get to talk to you at all, we just create a system where they either book or they don't, because it's free. So why would you want to waste your time anyway? Right? If it's true that the purity is here, that it's not designed and then why would we want to have you doing phone calls on something that's free? Right? So let's go back to the basics. That we got those 500 plus guests when I automated it for you in a very specific way. So it was something like, if you're interested in possibly being a guest with me on 11/11, select one of the dates on my calendar as a tentative booking. And I say tentative booking because these are the only dates that I do them. And this is my way of making sure that I'm not wasting my time, either this is something you already know from reading my story, that you would like to connect and have a conversation like this over now what's called StreamYard, right? Virtual now. Don't have to come into our studio.
Yeah.
And then soon as that you book a date, our system will automatically send you everything you need to know whether the format and the logistics are in alignment with you and feel good, right? And so only then are you really going to be committing. So the system will send the logistical terms and conditions, how everything works, and why it's free and how it all works. You just read it, and if you agree to the terms and conditions, we ask you to do that within 48 hours of booking the tentative date. And if you don't confirm within 48 hours, our system will automatically release that tentative date. So it's no problem. We can find another date. But all you do is you do stuff sent to you instantly, a video from Sameena explaining exactly. So it's like, there's no uncertainty, right? It's just like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is why it's done on this timeline. This is why you have to change passwords. And you probably do that in the video, right? The password thing is always the weirdest thing for them. So
Yeah.
that part is, hey, I just wanted to jump in here and explain why it's done on other people's timeline. And then the password thing. So they get the value for themselves, and they get that over 500 people had no problems changing the password. And you make a joke of it. We've never gone in and stole anything from anyone. Ha ha ha. Right. And you just change it temporarily, 2 hours before we're about to go live. And we'll even let you know the moment we're about to jump in and access the account and when we're going to turn it off. We just jump in to link it to StreamYard. And then it's even better than it was before. Do you know that we just link it to StreamYard as soon as we get it? And then we can literally just exit out of Facebook. StreamYard still remembers their password, even though we don't know what it is. Isn't that amazing? So we don't have to be on the account during the whole broadcast. We just need to get the password information, login details. I log in, and then I connect StreamYard to their Facebook account while I'm on their account. As soon as StreamYard connects, I actually log out of their Facebook account right away, and StreamYard's still connected. That means we don't have to be on the account for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, technically, like we used to be. It's literally 10 minutes. Send your stuff in a couple hours, and we'll tell you when we're about to check to log in. Make sure you've double checked that you're not going to have all these notifications coming up when we try to log in saying, sorry, password protection, we need a 4-digit code. Make sure they understand that that's the shit they're going to have to deal with. Because again, it's free, and it's an honor and a privilege to be connecting with you. You're a celebrity now, Sameena. And they were, when you weren't a celebrity, people loved this. And they were, following all the rules. So like, you have more power than ever.
So maybe, I mean, not maybe, now that just confirms it. We just stick to the format we always did. It's going to go on their timeline. Don't give them a choice whether 11:11, because you're
Yeah.
right. That's selling out on our format. It always worked. And I think why 11:11 became so successful is because we were consistent every single time. But these are the rules, people followed them, and if they didn't want or weren't aligned with them, then they just didn't come on. It wasn't the right fit. And we maybe had an occasional like 3-4 people, but mostly, once they understood the concept and the agreement, they were on board. Even when they didn't understand, they just kind of, trusted. Because the story was so compelling, right?
Yeah. And because they knew that this was their chance to get on camera, and they were scared to do it, but there's part of them that just wanted to. Like yesterday, I heard you talk to Coco, right?
Mm-hmm.
Share with me again, so you were present to it. What did Coco say? Like, she's the perfect example, right? She's the type of person this attracts. This is who it should be written for.
Yeah, Coco said that she was never comfortable going on Facebook. She just felt like so self-conscious, and coming on 11:11 changed that for her. Like she went on to write 2 books, I think she said, as a result of being on 11:11. So it built up her self-esteem, her confidence, that when she got on camera to do it, she knew that she can do it. She broke that ice, and it just took that one time for her. Because she only came one time to do a Facebook Live, right?
And also what happened, she got so much encouragement from her Facebook friends, and she got evidence that you did have something to say, and people wanted to hear it. That's what happened, because I remember hearing the call yesterday you were on with her, and she was talking about the low self-esteem, and that like she was a nobody. She had nothing to offer. She had nothing to say. That's what she used to think. And then the power of community, like 11:11 brought you back to life. 11:11, right? Humanity's, showing attention and encouragement to her changed her belief about herself in a moment.
Yeah. I noticed, like, in the past, a pattern. Those who were so comfortable with Facebook and maybe were already up there in the scale, right? I won't name any names. They're the ones I believe that weren't comfortable giving their passwords out.
I know. That's
Like,
because they weren't enrolled,
yeah,
right? They realized later that this really, what have I signed up for or whatever? Because the people like Coco had no issues with trust. Like anybody that's going to resonate with the number 1111 and look at our story and even have a thought that we might like be lurking in your Facebook account and reading your private messages or whatever, if you even think that, this is not for you. Like we should say that, who this is not for, it's not for you.
yeah,
Because that means you never read our story anyway. Like, so
yeah.
who knows what's happened here?
Mm-hmm.
Every time we had a problem with a guest showed up and we had to like, I had to jump in and help you because you're having a hard time, you know, for them just not resisting the rules, which they signed off on. It was always, they never read the story, even though they said they did.
Yeah.
Everybody that read our story came in here like in awe.
You know, like in 2 weeks we can turn everything around. We've done it before, right?
Yeah,
But if we are like focused and commitment, no, this is the only thing. If we do it consistently every single day between now and whatever this month, I'm saying this month because we need to have November's rent. But if we do it consistently, we will have our November's rent, right? And that's bringing people. That's the same thing that our spirit knows with the pathway is bring people into 1111.
yeah.
There's no way that won't work.
Okay, so let's put the writer on hold right now. Come back to our session,
Yeah.
right? So let's pretend there is no writer helping. And let me ask you, okay. So remember I said what this session is going to be about is actually knowing exactly all the steps that are needed and required to do whole and complete work on the 1111 funnel so that it's done the way Russell Brunson would do it. Any of the marketing guys, that they all do it the same way, right? Do it as it was meant to be done or better. In our case, if we even do it just the way it was meant to be done, that's a miracle for us. So we'd have to start by saying to ourselves, okay, what needs to get done? What's the next thing that needs to get done? Okay, we know that we're going to make the platform page more effective in communicating authentically, whole and complete, what this is, how it works, so nobody is left surprised at all when they actually show up. Everything goes exactly the way we have told them, whole and complete, transparent. Just so you know, we're going to be asking for your password before, you know, whatever.
Yeah, well, of course, the terms and conditions page needs to be done, the logistics. And the sequencing, like they book, okay, they get this message, and then they are guided to what do I do next. So there's
Okay,
like,
so let's start with that. What does that kind of look like? So there's some great text that is the call to action that explains that you're selecting a tentative date that'll become, you know, official date once the system sends the stuff and you sign off on it.
mm-hmm.
So what is that email say, do you think? You know, as soon as they register, boom, their inbox shows an email. In fact, they get taken to the thank you page right away. The email is just basically a copy of a link to that thank you page or a copy of the information that's on it, so that when they close their browser window.
They get a thank you page, which is already there. Thank you for booking. I just got to edit it once I have the agreement done. Like, hey, thank you so much for booking a date. An email, an automated email has been sent out to you with explaining how it works, how the platform works.
In fact, that email, if you wanted to not have to even go see your email, it's actually below this video. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's to make it easy for the customer. It's like, so what you're saying is that ideally, as soon as they book, they get an email with you talking on video. and saying below are all the terms and conditions. If you don't have time to watch this right now or read it right now, don't worry. An email was just sent to you with the subject, and you tell them what the subject was. And all the other guys say, and you might want to check your spam filter if you don't see it because it was sent to you. A lot of the top marketers let them know of that problem because they know some people don't know computers, and it might have went into their spam box or their junk mail. But just so you know, the email you're looking for has this subject line in it. It came from this email address, and it has this subject line in it. You tell them, right? So they know to go look for it if they're unable to sign off on all the logistical details to confirm their appointment right now. And
So
by the way, go ahead.
yeah, you add the link to the terms and conditions on the thank you page?
I would make the thank you page the terms and conditions, because now there's one less step, one last hoop. You got to make it easy for them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for booking my video terms and conditions. If you don't have time to look at it right now, an email has been sent to you with this subject heading with the terms and conditions to read and sign off on.
Yeah. And before you go and read the terms and conditions, one of the conditions you'll note below is that you agree that you confirm that you have watched this entire video. You're going to make that one of the conditions, because now they have to watch you enrolling them. Because now what you're going to say in the video is, but before you sign off on it, I want to deal with the elephant in the thing that's actually the biggest opportunity. And I want to explain, why it's done on your timeline. And everything that I said about that, Sameena, that's what gets captured in this video.
Yeah.
So that, like, that's always the only issue with them. Why the password? Why my timeline? And when we answer it the way I did, it makes it seem like, oh my God, you guys are doing it this way totally for my benefit, because if you're anybody else, you'd want to be building your attention on you. You'd want to be building the views on your thing.
Yeah. So I got it. So that could be my promise. Besides the 11 invitations, do it however, will honor me, but I also get it done. So I'm not like staying up till 1 a.m. every night getting these invitations done, right?
Yeah.
Is to, between now and our next session, is to have this video, like watch this, take notes. I have like a week. And then I have the video completed and put on the page before our next session next week.
Okay. Because I was going to say, do you want to promise by Friday before your mom comes? But if that's what you want to promise in the program, I think if you got that accomplished, like fully the way it's meant to be done, like so perfect, like according to the definition we use, then I think that's perfect. I think if it took a week to do that, all that means is that every invitation we do after that is going to have like 50% higher chance of having the person end up in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you already know that yourself. So, you obviously realize this soon, because you've also promised that you're doing 11 invitations every day starting today, no matter what. You already know, okay, yeah, it's not going to be as effective. I won't get as many conversions, meaning bottom line is I send this many and this many come into the studio, right? Doesn't matter this many book. It's like, who cares how many book? I do this many come to the studio, right? Just like when I did the school program, I speak to 1,000 kids, I get 100 come to the seminar, but it didn't matter, because at the end of the day, I'd always end up with 2 to 3% that stayed for the full 30-day program. So that's why I started getting really good at trying to sell the kids into not doing the program, because I wanted more of those kids that were going to be in my follow-up program to actually end up in, the breakout session after my keynote, where I start to explain the program.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that no matter what, it's that 2.5% of the kids that are the ones that won't quit. Mm-hmm. So I don't care how many invitations or how many, that 100 kids came into the room and to hear me talk about the program. It still always ended up in a successful program was getting those 2.5 kids, 0.5% kids to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
So see what I mean? we're measuring our success, Sameena, not by how many people opt in so much as how many people opt in and sign off on the agreement and show up with the least amount of, with no questions whatsoever for you. That they understand why they can't talk to you up until they show up, because that honors the roots of, we're bringing 1111 back only if we can honor the purity and the integrity of it in this new way.
Yeah. You said starting today, 11 invitations. And yeah, obviously I'll do some today, but I don't know if I want to commit to 11 today. Like starting today, I was just saying starting tomorrow.
Done. So we're going to start the 11 tomorrow. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Done.
Okay. So that'll be my other promise.
So let's look at what needs to get done too. Yeah, you can write that down. So we need to have a invitation template message that you feel good about. That's one of the tasks that needs to get done, but you get that done after, well, no, you get it done whenever you get it done. If you were to get the video done tonight or something like that, then the invitation message that gets sent out can be a lot shorter and should be a lot shorter, right? The message would be exactly the 2 messages I ghost wrote on your account that got those 2 people to book, right?
Yeah.
They were very short messages.
Yeah.
But you know what I would like? We should put on the task list a specific email that's written to the 500 guests that it's inviting them. And I don't know what that email is, but that's definitely part of the system. I'm not saying you're doing it as homework. Write it down though, because all I said is we're going to have a plan, a whole and complete plan of what needs to be done in order for the 1111 automation and being in full integrity, the whole process, the system. So we got to acknowledge that's a step. Whether it's done by next week doesn't matter.
Yeah, you need a specific email written to the over 500 guests that go out to them.
Yeah, like welcome back. You were there in the beginning, and we're going in this thing, and we'd love to. Quite honestly, it'd mean a lot to me if this new format resonated for you. If you liked the 11 experience the first time, this is going to be better in the following way. Right, it's going to be a lot less time consuming. You get to do it in the comfort of your own home now. You don't have to come to the studio using this new software that we love called StreamYard. And if you want to check it out, here's a screen capture of what it looks like. And so there's a video. So the message actually has a video sharing with them exactly what it's going to look like. So they don't have to click a link and check out StreamYard. They can see an OBS screen capture recording of me walking them through or whatever. We'll have that done. Not today, but we can have that done next time you do an 1111 broadcast. I will put the OBS on the whole time, and that way we can show them this is what actually happened in the 30 minutes prior to the person going live.
Yeah.
See, more people are going to say yes and then actually follow through. So more people will put their email in and actually end up saying yes, because we've been transparent. It says whole and complete, transparent.
Yeah.
Right. We're asked before you come and, invest your time and your emotions, because there's scariness and fear. We want to take away all the uncertainty by giving you everything we know. So everything we know, so you can be empowered to know if this is the right choice for you, integrity choice for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So this is about not only doing it the way we used to do it that works, Sameena, but even more transparency, more disclosure. So there's absolutely no surprises at all. And if our writer Jacob can work with us together, maybe with you, and with all your messages that we've talked about, and really nail this whole process for 1111, that's going to help us make more money before November 1st compared to anything else he could possibly do for us, correct?
Yeah, and work on what? Sorry, with me? Do you mean the 1111?
Every single message that is the whole funnel, from the email that goes out to the, the past 1111 guests, like in whatever capacity. Maybe he says he'll proofread some of it. I don't want to, like, whatever. We got to hear what he feels good. Let me keep talking.
Yeah.
And there should also be, make a note, an email that goes out to everybody else that has opted in to Kartra or Acuity, but actually never came on 1111 or never came into the studio, right? So that's a second email, right? That would be written differently because it's a different audience. They might not even, well, we got to assume they don't even know what 1111 is. But it's acknowledging that we have a connection, but not much of a connection. We began having a connection, but not yet. I don't know how he words it, but then again, there's an opportunity to click and find out about the platform and the story. And then there should be a third email. And I'm not saying he's going to do all of this or be involved in any of it or whatever. I'm just saying this is what we need right now. Whether he helps us or he doesn't, we have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
There should be another email that goes out to every other email address that I have in my system that's from me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just so from my perspective, maybe talking about, I don't know if I'm excited, just like I'm really excited. Like I've been wanting to share what I've been most passionate about, most meaningful, I think accomplishment or journey or project I've ever been involved in my life. And I couldn't really share it with you guys because I knew it was selfish to me and it wouldn't really benefit you other than sharing.
Okay.
But now I'm in a position where I want to share this because there's an opportunity for you and it's completely free, no hidden agendas, be a great way to reconnect if it resonates with you. Have no idea if it would. And then again, through the whole process of them picking a date to see if it's feeling good to do a tentative date and still say no if it doesn't resonate, they find out that I'm going to be on the broadcast with them as they're with you.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? I'm going to be on the broadcast for that 41 minutes between 10:30 and 11:11. At some point I put you live, right?
Yeah.
And that's the great thing. We also tell them, right? Scott never tells us when we're going to go live. We know that we're queued up, but we'll see it. We'll notice it, right? But that's the great thing, is that we're going to honor that aspect too. And that means that I'm going to be there with you because these are people that know me. So I'm at least there for the first 30, whatever that worked out to, 41 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's going out to my list, like Trevor and the school people and just everybody who's ever opted in on anything of mine within the last 20 years. Like, I think it's about 10,000 emails.
That's amazing.
Right? So that'd be the third thing to send out.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
and can you see, if we have the logistics done the way we said to do it, then having a well thought email to go out to my list would make complete sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what else do we need to do for this funnel?
I think for this week, let's just focus on what we said. I'm not present to what else we need to do. It's just getting it automated the way you said.
I think the only thing would be, like, after they book, that there's an automatic email that goes out like 48 hours before, just reminding them. And then one goes out to them, 24 hours after they, or no, we should have it programmed to go out exactly 3 hours, 2.5 hours after their broadcast. Right? Can you imagine? It's an 11:11, so they're going to be done by what? 12:11? For sure. It's never more than an hour.
Yeah.
So we can make it so that it actually goes out at 11:11 at 1:11 p.m. Hey, it's 1:11 p.m. We just did our episode at 11:11. This is an automated message, and just wanted to let you know what else we got for you for free. That's available for free, and that's where, right? We share that you have an opportunity to actually be with us again, but it's going to be Zoom, having what we call a turnaround accelerator session, and that's where we send them a link to the whole turnaround thing. What's next to talk about for our Integrity Choices session?
I think if we leave on this, that's perfect.
I feel the same way. I think if you were to, instead of talking more, if you agreed to just watch our session later today, and then you're going to anyway to pull out what's required for, the logistics and all that, then I feel that's a better use of our time, because we say that this session could be 3 hours max, but we also say that as soon as we know we accomplished the result, we don't want to have anything but forward momentum on that result.
I agree.
All right, Sameena. So now you do your video. I just hold you, just if you want to just get your phone, or do you want me to just, I could do this. If you want to just do your video here, since I'm editing it anyway, then you don't need to get your phone. I'll just turn off my camera and turn off my sound so that we, and you just share, here's what you got from the session and here's what I'm taking on.
Okay.
Actually, I'll keep the audio on so I know when to turn it off.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. This is session 7 of Integrity Choices, and the value I got from today's session was really, the importance of being focused. What's that one thing that if I do it consistently every single day, coming back to 11:11 for me, that's going to make a huge impact for me right now in terms of what's important to me, which is bringing in more cash flow before November into my business. And so Scott and I came up with just put a plan together that I know it's going to work. I feel good about, and so that's on its way. And my promises are in alignment with that specific plan to be able to fulfill it before November, to just be in action with this one thing. And another thing I really got is, and I shared this with Scott, is that I've been making, I think this past week, promises, and I realized that as I was doing it, they were too big for me. And so Scott helped me just narrow it down, but not let me off the hook. What's another way? Because I did give my word. That means I'm not keeping my word. I got to find some way that I'm going to still honor my word, because at the end of the day, whether it's too big, too small, I still gave my word. And so we just found another way where I could still honor that specific promise in a way that serves me and would benefit me, rather than just keeping my word. And it's not, it's just for the sake of keeping it, right? That it still honors me, that it benefits me, and it benefits, what I've been creating here. And it's, so I'm not breaking my word or my agreement with Scott as well, because that could also have an impact on him. So it just honors everyone. So we found that way as well. And so the promises I'm taking on this week are, the first one is I promise to have a powerful video done that's related, just that has heart, that's enrolling. So when it's part of my automated sequence, because my goal or my success path by, in 6 months, so by February, to have my business automated. Well, it looks like I could get there very well there, like before 6 months. So this is all related. So the promise is to have just a powerful video, extract the notes from this session, because we just Scott pulled out, just, what possibly can go in the video, and I just like extract the notes and put it in my own words, and really so it has heart. So when a stranger goes and clicks on the opt-in, they click in. This is for the 1111, right? They click in the 1111 platform. They want to know more information, and right away they're receiving not just like these terms and conditions, and they don't understand why the terms and conditions, but it goes along with the video. So there is heart, and I'm explaining, why it goes on their timeline, what's the value for them, what's the benefit for them. So when they go and read all the terms and conditions, they're already enrolled and understand why it's there and what value it is to them, which will increase the conversion rates of them booking to be on 1111. So have that powerful video done. My promise is to have it done and on the page that it's going to go on for the sequence, automated sequence, on or before my next Integrity Choices session with Scott, which will be next Wednesday. And my other promise is to have 11 invitations starting tomorrow, inviting people to come onto 11, Facebook friends of mine or my leads that have already opted in that I have a list of. Invite them to, or like hot leads or people who are I'm in connection with, or Facebook friends, or past previous people who are on my list, to invite them to come on the 1111 platform to have a conversation with me. And that's starting tomorrow, doing 11 invitations a day. And then, so this is the intention. The other promises are in alignment with just the sequences. There's an intention to get it done by next Wednesday, but it's not an actual set in stone promise. But as Scott and I talked about, to just make a note of it, because we're going to just, it's part of the plan to have all this complete, like at least set up in a week and ready for review. A specific email needs to be written to over 500 guests that have come on 1111 with me previously. So an email to go out to those over 500 people, just letting them know, what I'm doing now with 1111, and would love to have them come and join me. Again, if they'd wish to, but this time at their own convenience, as it's going to be on StreamYard in the comfort of their own home, so they can personal, a separate invitation email follow-up is going out to those number of people. And then my second email is, and again, this is all part of the sequence email, that there should be a second email that goes out to everyone else that has either opted into Kartra or my Acuity, but never came into the studio. So I started some kind of a connection with them in the past, but never was really complete, right? So really going back and following up with them with an email with the intention to share with them what I'm doing now and invite them to come on 1111 with me. And the third email, it should be another email that goes out to every person on Scott's list that he's also had a connection with in the past, or got an invitation to something, or opted into something. That's a separate email to them. And number 4, another email, maybe like, and I'm gonna like figure this out, maybe 48 hours or so should go out before, like for people who have already scheduled to come on 1111. So it's like a reminder email 48 hours or so before should go out, reminding them, of the preparation of what they need to do, like send their password in, and just like remind them so there are no surprises. And then just sharing with them in that email what else they can get for free, which would be our Turnaround Accelerator session program. So it's all part of the sequence. And yeah, my commitment also is to watch the session from Scott, particularly because all of it was about creating this plan, right, related to my sequence. So watch the session, particularly with the purpose of extracting the notes to do my powerful welcome enrollment video for, the 1111 opt-in opt-in. So when people opt in, they get this video. This is what it is. This is how 1111 works, and this is what they need to do next to confirm their booking. So to watch, and it's all in the session here, just to watch the session, or specifically the parts where we talk about, what needs to go in the video, and watch that, take notes, and prepare for the video to get that done with integrity, whole and complete, on or before my next session with Scott, which is on Wednesdays. And yeah, and then of course, acknowledging a different member, putting in an appreciation acknowledgement for a different member in the Integrity Choices site. And that's what I'm going to do as well. That's my promise this week. And that's it. It was a powerful session. I feel good about it. And I just have, narrowing down these promises and just having it focused on where I need to go and what I need to do to further stay in that momentum where, it's leading to more money coming in my business, and never ever having to worry about money again. And I know this is a pathway, and creating a plan for it step by step. Thank you.